Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Creator Space. Today we have Jeff Wilson with us. We're going to be looking at creating a superhero or superheroine. So the idea here is that, again, how do we go from a total, from a blank screen, and how do we get into creating a character, superhero, superheroine? And if you haven't been able to join us in person, so we welcome our youth that are joining us online here to get a glimpse of how this can work. So yeah, I just want to thank all our partners in this project. We have the Canada Council for the Arts, and then we have our library partners. We have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. My name is Tom Sternat. I'm the lead digital artist of the Creator Space, and we welcome everyone to this edition. And in terms of the project and everything, so Jeff Wilson, local cartoonist, animator, illustrator, is taking us on this journey through ProCreate, and we're getting to learn a lot of different tools and learning together and seeing how we can use it in different ways and different formats. And again, superheroes. And if you, I welcome you to check out our website, tbmcs.ca. You can always see more of on our YouTube channel, some of Jeff's past workshops too. So if you create a superhero, you might want to look at, how do I animate that superhero? So you can watch a masterclass that Jeff did on 2D animation as well, and you can, keep exploring with us. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Jeff. And here we go. Here's Jeff.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Tom, and everybody. I hope everybody's having a good morning. It's November 6th while we're streaming this, so let's get right into it. Today's topic, of course, is superheroes and superheroines. And there's our main screen there, the title card that I have here. Just going to take that down, and we're going to take a look at just kind of a layout of what a typical superhero looks like in the comics. And that's where I discovered superheroes in the comics. It's an unusual genre that has become kind of formularized, if you will, because it's not your typical style of comic. Comics are in the past have been mostly funny animals or funny cartoony people, and then the superhero genre came along in the let's see, I guess it would be the 30s and 40s with the onset of Superman, and that would be the modern equivalent of what superheroes have been. Of course, superheroes, the superheroic character goes back to Greek and Roman mythology, and that's where the Roman and Greek gods were the original superheroes, and they of course retold in stories and sometimes in images. People mostly had the images in their mind what these characters would look like. So it's very even though it's a fairly recent genre in the formula that it's in, we see it mostly now, it has some strong roots in history and mythology in particular. So, and we have a fascination as human beings in mythology and in things that I guess romanticism, whatever you call it, that's where it stems from. So let's now, not all superheroes are human, and I had a class recently where a student said, "Well, my superhero is not human, so how do I do that?" Well, we can take some of the things we're going to learn today, and you can apply that to a non-human character, because it will have characteristics of some other animal or some other creature that you can apply to it. And what we're going to do today is explore what you do to study the things that your superhero is made of. And you can, creating a superhero is more than just creating it. It's discovering it as well as you create it. So let's go right over to our figure here. I've created a figure that I designed a few weeks ago of a superhero in the proportions that might be in a comic book. And of course, right now with Marvel and DC Comics and their proliferation, I think the movie industry is just about saturated with superheroes right now. So you're probably familiar with the superhero phenomenon right now. So here's the figure, the way they might look if they were a human being. And you see the classic male physical specimen here, and this inspired by by John Romita and the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. That's where I basically took this lesson for me, because I'm constantly learning too. So let's just take this a step further, and you'll note the shapes of the physique, the kind of directions the physique goes. So let's take a look. I just did a little overlay of the shapes that you might do for a figure. So you've got the triangular shape on the top for the torso and shoulders, and then you have the circle on top for the head, and the eye line, which would be pretty much in the center of the head, as you can see, and that line running through the center of the front of the body. And the muscles are a series of circles and ovals and tubes, as you can see, and series of shapes that you put together. And this helps the artist to draw it time after time. So whether your superhero is a male, female, or a dog, or a bull, it will have the same application. Whatever the moving parts will be, you try to break it down to the basic shapes and try to simplify it for yourself so you can create the character here. And here's a side view, the same thing. This the circle, the oval for the head, and then you could do the lines for the eyes and the center of the face, and the series of circles and ovals for the muscles, the shoulder muscle, the bicep, tricep area here in the center here. I guess that let's take a look here. That would be this area here, your biceps, triceps, and then of course your forearm in this area here. And down to the hand, which I usually break down to about a triangle or a rectangle at least. And then the thigh muscle, the oval, the calf muscle is an oval, and then joined by a couple of lines for the tubes that join them together. And of course, a triangle for the feet, giving that shape. So these are broken down into very simple shapes, so you can redraw it time after time, and that's part of the secret about drawing superheroes, is breaking them down so you can do a quick layout. Then you can add the details later, which is probably the fun part for most of us. But if we lay out that framework first, it'll help us much later on. So let's just take all of that down here. We'll take the male out, and we will now focus on a female figure here. So we're going to do basically the same thing here. We're going to just what I've done, and using the other tools there. So I'm going to take this now. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take the circle here. Let's redo that line. So we're going to try to follow that shape of that head, and then we'll the top there and get it. And then of course we'll do the shoulders. So we do the same thing here. We do a line and a triangle basically here. And let's see if I can do this. I'll try to draw a line right down the center of the figure here, and right to the center here. And then with the shoulders, or with the female figure, of course, we have to realize what we're doing it for. So if it's a female, it should look like a female in all the normal ways. The physiology is different than a male. So we're going to do maybe not as big circles or ovals for the shoulders, and maybe not as big for the tricep, bicep area. We'll do that on both sides here. And you note I'm holding this. This was taught to me by a student a couple of weeks ago. If you do a circle and you hold it at the end where they meet, they'll circle. It'll round to a perfect oval. So that's amazing tool. It's amazing thing that ProCreate does. It's something to try out. So thank you to that student that showed me that. It was amazing. So let's try it with these arms as well. It's kind of an oval, but it really just kind of goes down there. And then of course, I'm just going to do a triangle for the hands here. Let's see here. Oh, okay, we can do a better job on that. And then the same thing here. Okay, and then the same with the thighs. We'll just, so what we're doing is we're breaking down the features so that we can redraw it time after time. So if we have the shapes and where the body shapes go, we can do it time after time and quickly. And we're going to do some sketching later, where we actually do. Let's just get that there, and the triangle, of course, for the feet. And the same with the left foot here. Okay, so away we go. So there we go. So we have the female shape. Of course, you can do it from the side as well. Do the same thing. The torso is a little different because it's in a little different position. And of course, we have the breasts and the female physiologies, which we have to make sure we don't have to make it as pronounced as that. That's not necessary, but I mean, you do indicate that it's a female. So, and that's one of the things most artists would do. A lot of artists do tend to accentuate that, and I don't promote that necessarily, but I didn't design their character, so I can't tell them what to do about it, and vice versa. I don't think they should tell me what to do about my designs. There we go. And of course, the line joining here and the buttocks here. The hips are a little larger in the female figure than the male figure, and that's again, that's the physiological difference. This is just the way it is. I didn't design it, as I say. I didn't create it. It's just then, of course, the line through the face, and it'll be around the area of the ear here. So there you go. So we've broken down the female figure to the basic shapes. Oh, we forgot the box for the trunk area here, and that's very important because that's where it becomes a fulcrum for the body's movement here. So if we put a box here indicating the hip or the groin area, and the female would be a little wider, just because of the way a lot of people recognize that women are different species even than a male, but it's part of nature. So it's something we need to recognize as we're doing this, as we study physiology, and that's a different study maybe than superheroes. Okay, so there we go. So let's get into some of the sketching aspect of it. I'm going to use a blue pencil here, and I'm going to take a blank screen here. I'm going to create a new layer, which I did, and I'm just going to take a sketching or a drawing tool. Let's take a drawing tool. Let's take just trying to find the right thing here. Nice toothy pencil line here, and I'm going to try to lay out a scene. So another thing with superheroes is perspective. So if we wanted to design a scene outside of a building or something, perspective is an important thing that we can use to indicate depth and proportion. So this could be an outdoor scene, and it might be. So let's just take just do a gesture sketch of some scene that's going on between a superhero and maybe a supervillain. So we're just going to try to make the proportions remotely the same as what we had, and maybe have a couple of figures menacingly posing toward each other here. And we'll try to get the proportions fairly close. Triangle here. And the box for the fulcrum of the bottom part of the body. Just kind of loosely sketch out a scene here. So we got our figure one here. On the left side, it's just very loose, and it's not particularly detailed yet. I'm just doing a line here to show he or she seem to be looking across at something here, and I'm going to introduce another figure here, leaning in the other way. So it'll be almost at this character's point of view. which gives the scene a bit of dynamism. It gives you kind of brings you into the scene better, and that's one of the things that I love about the comics, especially superhero and characters that are like superheroes, that are bigger, more dynamic and bigger than life. These type of scenes can really draw you in, have bigger impact on you like that. So I'm going to just basically loosely fake this in. Fake as in, ghosted in, or just not really detailed, just kind of indications more than anything else. Maybe a couple of fists here. And this is an ear. This would be, the face would be in this area here. So there we go. We've got kind of a ghosted in scene. And we got our proportions laid in too. And so it kind of gives you kind of the whole layout seems to focus here, right in the center. So everything seems to be, this is a very important part of superhero cartooning too, is the layout, the way you lay out your scene. So this is, everything seems to be coming to this focal point here in the center. And this is what you want to do as an artist. You want to have enough distance between the two characters in the scene. So you're also laying out your scene as well as ghosting in the characters. So once you kind of have your scene figured out, what you're going to do, then I'm just going to add a new layer here, and we're going to add in some details here. I'm just going to add a red pen red pencil, because as I do that, then I can focus a bit more on the details here. So this could be our super villain, or our antagonist, I guess you could say, and somebody that our hero is against, or our hero is in conflict with, not necessarily against, maybe just maybe they got the wrong coffee at Tim Hortons or something. I don't know what could have happened between them, but there is so we'll give them a bit of a lantern jaw here to start with. I don't know what their character is going to be yet. I'm going to give them kind of an angry curled lip here, which I think is fun to do with superheroes. Give them a little emotion. Give him he or she a lantern jaw here. I think I'm going to make it a he. Just looks like a pretty angry person here. So we're just going to have fun with that and put in the details here. So we're going to add the details of the musculature, the pectorals here for the male, and barrel chest, which is pretty much a stereotype of the modern day superhero. And that's the thing too, is that you can have fun with and satirize superheroes, because they are so formularized, and there's just about every story you can tell for a superhero has been told. So it's just how do you have fun with it and make something new? Make it new for you, make it new for your readers. We'll put the tubes here, and as I was showing you, the shapes. We'll kind of have a triangular hand here. We'll add in some details here, but you can see it coming here. I think the head's maybe a bit big, so we might just tone that down a bit. And head's a little large. I like the bigger jaw, though, the bigger the life lantern jaw. I think that really helps the scene. And just a little more detail here, and then the knees and the hip joints. And the good thing about doing superheroes is that there's so many applications you can do. Like you could it could be a spokesman for your business, or a spokesperson, male or female. It could be, I don't like that arm, so I'm going to work. Try to redo it there. And so you could be I remember doing a logo for someone a number of years ago. Their business, they had a carpeting business, and they wanted a superhero character as their mascot, basically. So that can be used for that. You can use it for well, maybe you just want to do a superhero for your own enjoyment. And I mean, that's what I've always done. I've never really done too many superheroes that have made big money or any money, to be honest. I just basically did them because they were fun to do and I enjoy drawing them. And thing I foresaw that I would make big money on. I just enjoyed doing it. I just enjoyed drawing, period. So it was always a fun thing for me. And study anatomy. It's very important to study anatomy. I know this isn't perfect as I'm doing this, but um, the study of anatomy, you can improve on I can improve probably by a little closer study to anatomy on a drawing like this, because I can see already that I'm struggling a little bit with the figure, but I'm trying to get basically the shorthand down. Like a lot of comics is the shorthand. How do you indicate what's going on? It's not always all in the details. Sometimes you can get the details down and you miss out on telling a good story because you bog down on details too early. Best thing to do is to make sure you have all your basics secure, and then you can tell a good story, and that's what the readers want. They want a good story. They don't necessarily see all the details that you've put out there, but very painstakingly and powerfully powerfully worked at. Okay, so there we go. There's our two figures in putting the building here in the background. We got a cityscape here, which is kind of neat. So we're just going to take away that first layer we had here. You see, we've got a little more detail going here. So we've got the very basic layout here. So I'll just do in a different color. I'll just show you the layout, basically. What I call a layout. It's actually the motion, the unspoken motion. That's all. There's toward each other, but you can see that the lines of the scene are converging right in the center here. So it would be somewhere in here would be your center focus in the scene, and there's going to be a conflict. So if this was your splash page of your comic, you could have word balloons saying, I'm gonna hit you so hard your teeth will rattle, or something, stuff like that, some superhero jargon, which is very similar to the Greek gods and the Roman gods stories of old. It would be, kind of trash talking the two superheroes together, and it would the idea being in a splash page of a comic or a cover of a comic would be to draw you in to read that comic. So you would have like a title at the top saying curly-haired guy fights a guy with no hair. I don't know what it would say. Whoever these characters are, who they are, and it could be anybody. Design your own characters and put them in the situation and finish them off. And we, of course, could take that another layer here. How are we doing for time? I think we're doing pretty good here. We're just going to add another layer here. And we'll go with a black line. So what I'm going to do is take that from the blue and red, and we're going to go with a nice dark black line. And I'm going to go with an inking tool, go with our studio pen, And sorry, I'm having trouble with connectivity here today, and I hope you can at least hear me. You may not be able to see what I'm doing, but hopefully you can see me. And I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to put details into these characters. They're rough, they're sketchy, but we can add some details here, and see if I can just zoom down to our drawing here. Let's just move up a little bit more here so we have a better scene of it. So what I'm going to do now is add some details to this antagonist here. And we will make him a very sinister looking character. And this is how you can design your character. Maybe you've already got it designed beforehand. That's great too. But sometimes when you design a page like this, just for fun, you can create a lot of stuff too. So we want to have very angular looking face. I like the lantern jaw look. I always remember an artist named, just making, my finger is making some lines on its own here. I always remember the drawing style of an artist named George Freeman, who did a comic called Captain Canuck. That was where I first saw George's work, and it was very incredible. He was a very talented guy, and I actually sent some work to George many years ago to critique, and he was very helpful to me to give me some good advice there. So just increase that line again. You can increase your line thickness for the outside lines, and of course you may decide you don't like any of what I'm doing here and just do your own thing. Well, that's great, but it gives you an idea what you can do. You can't see his eyeballs here. I am going to even, as I speak, I'm going to just give him a little heavier brow here. We're going to give this character a heavier brow just to make him look more sinister. And then add some details here. And following the musculature of the figure. Now, in the neck muscles here, you would have, if you study your anatomy, you see we have a muscle here in the shoulder just above the neck bone, which was the collarbone, I guess, basically. The collarbone, which goes to just inside the shoulder. And then you've got this, actually a back muscle that folds over the neck in toward the neck here. There's your clavicle, your neck, or your shoulder collarbone here, and that would go here. So you have to know your anatomy as you do this, but that's not real good. It gives you an idea, though, what you can do. Let's take that clavicle right out of there, and I think I'm even going to take the shoulder out. Just zoom in a bit closer. I think I've just got to work harder at this. Anyway, it gives you an idea what you can do. I'm going to follow that. I think we'll even take that down because that would probably connect to your shoulder muscle here. And then your tricep, bicep here, joining to your elbow, to our forearm, and then our hand. And drawing hands is an art all its own. I could spend a whole hour just drawing hands, but you have hands yourself. You can study your own hands and study how to draw them. And there's ways to draw them so that they're quick, and you don't have to, you can hide the fingers and whatnot too. That's not real great. I'm not really happy with that. I'm just going to take them away and disguise them because I'm doing a quick drawing here. And you can do that too. You can find little shortcuts to disguise them if you if you have trouble with the anatomy. And of course, as you study anatomy, you can see the sinew, the way the tissue flows. Let's just reduce the line here. We can add the triceps here, and you've got the little muscle here near the elbow, funny bone, if you will. And of course, the cords that go into the hand go in this area here, and then we do have the hand, of course, on this side. And we're going to just do basically the same thing. We're going to do an indication of the hand, because more or less you've told the story with the action. You can disguise fingers if you don't want to draw them. If you do want to draw them, great. Certainly, if nothing else, get the shape down so that it looks like a hand, and then follow through with the rest of it. This is your rib cage. You would have in the superhero or the super villain would have a pretty powerful midriff here. And let's put a pair of pants on him. It's probably a good idea. Since he's in battle, he should probably be clothed. And then we'll add the muscle and sinew in the leg. And you note that the thighs are thicker at the top than toward the bottom, and more narrow as they go into the knee joint, which is a pretty sophisticated joint, but you can indicate it fairly simply. And it feeds into your calf here, kind of goes straight here at the inside of the knee, and then it feeds out, kind of fans out toward the calf, inside calf, and the outside calf's a little higher. Yeah, as you can see here. So, and there's actually like the calf or the thigh splits into several pieces here, and it's a little higher in this area here than here. So, and then of course your knee joint would be fairly pronounced. And the same with this one here. It would be the similar story. Your knee would decap the muscle above the knee, and then so it basically divides that way. And of course you have your knee joint here at the back, and then it would kind of fan out into the inside of the calf, which is lower than the outside of the calf if you study anatomy. So let's put some trunks on our figure here. So I think with this, we're just going to focus on this particular character here. It's a little scrambly here with this line going here. So there you go. You've got your villain here. You can add whatever details you want. You can, let's see what we can do. You can give him more headgear, or you can give him, what would make him look sinister? Like, how about a big collar, kind of like that. Stereotypes are really important in comics. I know it's probably the only place where stereotypes are accepted anymore, but you know, this tells you this is maybe not a nice guy. You can do other things, like you can give your character an unusual head shape if you want to. Or just leave it like that and just change the color of his costume or his body. You get the main idea anyway. Oh, I just erased part of the body there. And I hope we're still tuned in, because I've been having trouble with connectivity, as I said. Now let's have a look at our main hero here. This is kind of a close-up side view, so we can have fun with this a little bit here. So we've got a side view here. So we're looking at from his or her point of view. It would be a him in this case, and we could have fun with this hair. Nice flowing hair here. And we'll just increase the line here a bit. So with the eye, I don't know if you ever read the Batman comics, but the eyes always look the same on Batman from the side. And that was part of what I loved about the Bob Kane Batman, was that the way he drew the characters from the side, just something similar. We'll give it a nice pronounced chin. And I don't know why, I just seem to be having a bit of trouble getting some of the lines to work, but anyway, we'll work with it. And it's a kind of a neat, yeah, I am not doing very well here. I'm not seeming to get the line every time I try here, so I'll just keep trying. Yeah, I love ProCreate, but sometimes it does kind of mystify me as when I'm doing certain lines. There we go. Just going to get the outline here, and I got an idea for how to make this a little more dynamic and exciting. Let's get this other hand here. Just kind of a fist. Get that fist shape there and give him a nice thick wrist. And what I think I will do, now this is something that I saved for now because it's it's kind of a use of light in the position of light. And so I'm going to really increase my brush size here. I'm going to use the brush tool still. And what I'm going to do is start filling in the figure here at certain points. So I'll fill in the hair here, just to show you how you can increase your dramatic effect with lighting. So we're going to fill in this part of the hair of this character here. And this is from my study of comics and my love of comics that I even am trying to do this, because so what I'm doing is I'm filling in, well, let's say I didn't like that. I'm going to fill in the face here at certain parts, kind of give it a silhouette in the lighting here. And it's going to give us this nice effect of silhouetting the figure. So they're backlit, like they're front. Yeah, they're backlit basically. They're the light is coming from the opposite side of the figure here. So we'll just, so all that work we did finding the anatomy is kind of obscured, but on the other hand, we're making a really nice effect here too. We're just giving really impactful dramatic effect here. So keep that backlighting in there, in the wrist, and in the back and shoulders. I will try to get my brush to work here. Why did it turn white? My brush turned white. Okay. I was trying to draw in black. I don't understand, but anyway, here we go. Love computers. Sometimes they love you. Here we go. And then we figure here. And then for the muscles down here, we're going to create a little line here. I hope this is as much fun as it is, as much fun to watch as it is to do, because this is really fun to give this effect here. We just fill this in. It gives a very dramatic effect in the final drawing, as I hope you'll see, and I hope it really does come through, because I think it will. And might have saved ourselves a lot of drawing too, actually, too. That's hard to say, but So by kind of silhouetting the inside part of the drawing, we've given it a very dramatic effect. And what I like about it is it's kind of made our main character look like they're alone. It gives it a little more drama. It gives it a little more impact in the drama of the drawing. Drama or drama, whatever, potatoes, whatever works best for you. And there you go. So we're going to just take away that other layer here. And we'll have a look at our figures. We have 2 figures in Mortal Kombat here. And now we have our antagonist here, like menacingly looking. But then we got our protagonist here with the dark backlighting here. And he looks very alone. So it gives it a nice dramatic effect. And I think that's good. So, and we still, again, we have the layout, the whole design is toward the center, if you will, and it's really very impactful. And you could, of course, add another layer and add color to this, and I may start to do that. And yeah, so there we go. And you could have your title here at the very top. The battle of the century or something, indicating these 2 guys are in Mortal Kombat. So I hope that helped. And I'm going to just add some here. So you can add color using light direction too. This is really, to me, this is an important thing about superheroes, is that you can do these things. You can, indicate stuff as well. So like colors and that sort of thing. So let's try. Let's see, is that below? Just going to make sure this layer is below that black line there. So we're going to go with it, man. We're going to try it. We're going to try some color here. This is the color of our antagonist here. I don't know if that's a sinister color or not, but reading some of the old comics, and they were all done in black and white and then colorized later. And I often wondered, I wonder if that's the color they planned for that character in the first place, because some of them seem very odd. But anyway, in a lot of cases, they would add something to the character by adding the colors. So, never underestimate the value of colors to your comics. They can really impact a lot of things to them. Just going to fill that up a bit more. What I love about ProCreate is that you can just thicken your brush line and you can just fill in so nicely. I wish I could figure out a way to do an outline and fill it in, but I haven't figured that out yet. But in the meantime, doing it this way gives you a little more control over what's in the colors and, how you color the scene in. And we can, if we've missed a line, we can just take our eraser tool and clean that up a bit there. But anyway, there's that figure, and you can do the same with this figure too. We can give them a little, maybe just a little more color here. What would I suggest? Let's do kind of a teal blue, brown blue here. And then maybe a lighter yellow. Yeah, I'm not liking that yellow too much. A little too green. Let's see if we can improve that a bit here. Here we go. That's a little better. So let's and to keep the light source strong, like you'd sense that the light would get stronger on the outside. So maybe a little white on the little crest of white on the outside of the stuff, and kind of a gold to show that this is the light source is kind of gold or yellow at source. And it gives you Really nice impact here. If I can just get the line to work. And you can keep the white line there to kind of keep the haloing or the silhouetting in place. And it gives the drawing a bit of depth too, even though you've kind of taken that away with the silhouetting. You can keep it somewhat too, and to keep it that way. And so there you go. So I hope that helped today, Tom. I hope that that's enough for today. And I'll turn it back to you if you're there. But I'll just keep talking about it. Oh, okay, perfect.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Jeff. Yeah,
Jeff. Yeah,
fantastic.
fantastic.
Appreciate that. No, it was yeah, really great to how can you quickly get going on creating some characters and scenes and and just all the techniques and stuff. So it's always uh, interesting to see how it all comes to life, right? And I think that's the whole beauty of like how you just start with the concepts, right, and then and bring it all to life. And yeah, would you Jeff, would you recommend what's the best any kind of reference materials or books or anything that you could recommend too?
I do, yes. I recommend one of my favorite books for superheroes is How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. It is still, to me, the best book for doing this sort of drawing. It's really good to practice the techniques there, and it's got everything you need. It has the tips on anatomy, which is very, very important. It's got tips on laying out your scenes. It's got tips on pacing, and yeah, it's because Marvel really changed the game when it came to comics. It changed the game in making comics interesting to look at. That was their whole game when they started out, and now everybody's doing it. It's caused a ripple effect that's the whole industry does. So that would be my main one to suggest. The other thing I would suggest is, especially if you're doing human superheroes, or any kind of whatever superhero you're doing, whatever life form they take, if there's a way to connect it to some physical being, practice drawing it. Do life drawing, and if you can take a life drawing class if it's available. I know we're going through a pandemic right now, and these things are in varying degrees of availability, but I would highly recommend taking a life drawing class, maybe with other folks, to get some feedback on how you're doing and how to do things. That really helps a lot. That's something I think most of us are missing right now. So that would be another thing I'd recommend. Anatomy, study anatomy, human anatomy especially, and yeah, especially if you're doing stories about superheroes. They may not be human looking, but there will be human aspects to their character that you want to imbue. So always yeah, and you can do it if you have a camera. You can take pictures of things and study them, looking at the pictures and study drawing them. A good way to learn how to draw things is to trace things. So I remember when I first started to draw comics, that was one of the things I did. Was I'd find an artist who I liked. My favorite artist was Gene Colan, who had this very loose, dynamic style that I've loved ever since. And I would trace his work, and just to learn how he did the lines. I wouldn't trace it and try to steal it and try to sell it as my work, but I would use it as a tool to kind of learn how he did things, how he did his musculature, how he did his poses. So that's very helpful. But again, I don't recommend doing that and saying, "Oh, this is my work," because it's not. It's but if you do it on your own later, that's from learning from that experience. That's where it pays off. So yes, I hope yeah, and you'll find many on your own. The internet is the best tool that we've ever had. I wish I had it back when I was starting out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks,
No,
Jeff. No,
that's fantastic. Yeah, and I think that the how to draw the Marvel way, I've seen it in our libraries too. So it's something you can definitely just come and take out as well. And yeah, so that's great. So again, thanks for joining us, everyone. That will wrap up our session today. You can also, if you want to send me an email, and Tom at TBMCS if you have any questions about any of the software or getting started with ProCreate software that Jeff's been demonstrating with. But yeah, I just want to thank all our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts. Then we have all our library partners where you can access iPads with ProCreate. So the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. Thank you, Jeff, for another wonderful session. And we'll see you soon. And be sure to check out, we have plenty of other digital drawing workshops coming up with Jeff. We have in November and December. So be sure to check out tbmcs.ca, and you can see all our online workshops as they continue through. And we hope to see you again soon. All the best, and take care.